Welcome to the Plant Cunning Podcast,
where we explore our relationship to plants, other people, and the mysteries of nature.
Coming to you from the high Allegheny Plateau in central New York.
We are your hosts, AC Stauble
and Isaac Hill. So today on the Plant Cunning Podcast, we have Meghan Rhodes returning. And Meghan is an herbalist and teacher from England. Well, originally from the States, but living in England.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you doing today, Meghan?
I am great and a little bit pumped out because it's autumn now when we're recording. That's my favorite season. Been teaching all day, so I'm feeling great. How are you?
Super duper.
We're doing good.
It's really fall.
We got the leaves changing.
It's kind of been fall since mid-August. But then
It started quick, yeah.
It was cold last night. It was like cold. So
Yes.
Frost.
the leaves are like perfectly, it's like we're in peep season, as they say. Reds and golds and
Yeah, our friend just gave us a giant bag of apples, so we're gonna make some apple butter and apple pie. I'm like, that's official then. We're in
nice. Yeah, and we lit the fireplace the other day, so we're like, oh. And when our cohorts came in for their autumn sessions, we had the fire on. It's like, yes, we're not cold yet, but we're cozy. It's officially cozy time.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. We haven't taken that step. Hopefully we won't need to.
Yeah.
It's been like cold at night and then like kind of still warm in the day, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like the chill sleeping times.
Yeah, you don't want to peak too soon though, because then you get sick of it.
Yeah.
And then it drags on forever. So
yeah.
Right. Once you start feeding the fire, you don't stop until May here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of holding off on that. But I'm excited about the topic today because it is all about seasons and the Ayurvedic Doshas and how those interrelate. And I think this is an interesting topic because it's like the seasons are such a visceral part of our experience and they change our constitution, we have our natural constitution, then each season kind of aggravates or alleviates different parts of our system. They talk about like Vikriti and Prakriti. Is that
yes.
Yeah, in Ayurveda. So I think this will be a fun discussion.
Yeah. So I don't know if we talked about this last time, but how did you get into Ayurveda? I know there's different routes you can go, the Western herbalism route, the TCM route. What brought you to studying Ayurveda?
Yeah, so I started on the Western herbalism route and very much kept on that, but I started learning herbalism with Annie McIntyre. And I actually signed up for a 4 seasons course with her, not really realizing who she was. And then my husband's cousin, who's a clinical practitioner, said, oh, right, and who's teaching the course? I'm like, I don't know, let me just check the email confirmation. Oh, this lady called Annie McIntyre. And she's like, do you realize who you're learning from? It's like, no. So Annie, if you're listening, I love you and you're amazing. And thank you for all the many, many years of teaching and wisdom. So I started learning from her. And then when I went onto my clinical training course, she started her apprenticeship at the same time, which was very much the crossover between Western herbalism and Ayurveda. So I learned it really from near about the beginning, hand in hand. I wasn't even looking for it. I hadn't heard of it. I mean, I had only just heard the word herbalism. So to learn about Ayurveda as well. But what drew me to it was seeing the energetic system as just simplifying everything and grounding everything and making everything feel really physical and really make sense with the core 5 elements, how they combine into the 3 doshas. And then it's just, it just gets clear. Oh, okay, that's a Pitta type person. That's a Kapha type person. That's a Vata type person. Or Vata, Pitta, Kapha, weather, or seasons, or skin issues, or bowel movements, So that's how I got introduced to the 2, and I learned them both hand in hand the whole way. So that's always been how I've taught, because that's how it all kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Very cool. Now I'm like curious of what is the difference between a Vata, Pitta, um,
Bowel
Vata,
movement?
Pitta. Yeah.
Kapha Balamu, I can tell you. So Vata, classic Vata is cold and dry. Yeah,
Okay.
and usually a bit restricted because if you think, when you're cold and you sort of like, you clinch together to try to
Yeah.
conserve your vital resources. Whereas the flip
Okay.
side of that is totally loosey goosey away with the fairies. So
Mhm.
Vata type bowel movement is like little dry rabbit poops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I had a rabbit as a kid, so I know what those look
Yeah, me
like.
too.
There are lots of them. That's all that rabbit did was poop.
Yes.
Um, but I digress. A pitta type bowel movement is a Mary Poppins one, practically perfect in every way. You
Oh.
know, perfectly formed, average size, comes out at a regular time on a perfect schedule, and is
Mm.
all very regulated. A kapha type poos. Kapha is earth and water. So think like clay, pottery, structure. So kapha poos are the big ones. They're
Oh.
Okay.
the big ones, the kind of mucusy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're more substantial,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the kapha body, has a tendency to kind of take its time and move a bit slower anyway. So this transit might be a little bit slower. Pitta
Mm.
transit is bang on schedule. Vata transit is, huh? What? Oh, when was the last time I had a bowel movement? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a great
I
description.
see. Yeah.
Thank you.
No
That helps
worries.
to describe the three doshas as well a little bit too. We're starting to get into like
Yeah.
that looks like. So,
Yeah, we should probably get into, for those who aren't aware on
yeah.
what the three doshas are, or might be aware but don't know how they come from the elements. What
Mm.
are the doshas? How do they come from the five elements?
Yes. So in Ayurveda, there are 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, has a different set of elements. Western energetics, so the Galenic system, works with elements combined in a different way. So I just kind of say pick your system, because if you cross up all of them, you might get a bit confused.
Mhm.
So pick one that makes the most sense to you. But in Ayurveda, those 5 elements combine by twos to make the different constitutions. So Vata is ether. Sometimes people call it spirit, like I heard it on the ether sort of thing. Coming into Samhain, Halloween time, the veil is thin. Ether is dominating. We're getting messages through the veil and all that fun stuff, as long as it's somebody you want to talk to. It's not fun if it's not somebody you want to talk to, right?
Mhm.
No.
Um,
I
so
also think of that as like space.
yeah, yeah.
It's like the space that hold in between everything and holds everything together.
Yes, and that can even be the space like in the bones, the space in between one organ and another. So there are pockets of space in the body, or if there's constriction, then there's not enough space for things to move efficiently, which may result in little dry vata poops.
Right.
So, to go back to that. Um, so Vata is ether and air. Air does the movement in the body. So if you think about this really kind of fine, liminal, spacious, heard it through the ether energy plus air and movement combined into Vata, you've got dry, you've got cold, you've got changeable, you've got a bit kind of hard to pin down, a bit all over the place, a bit irregular, not necessarily on a schedule, changeable. So, that might be like somebody's got dry, itchy skin, and first it's on the shoulder, but then it's like whack-a-mole, right? First it's on the shoulder, then it's on the hand, then it's on the knee, and it kind of, when's it
Mhm.
going to appear? So that's Vata. And that characteristic of ether plus air, and thinking of it as dry, cold, and constricted, that then can apply to anything, including the seasons.
Hmm.
So when we've got coming into autumn, Vata is predominating. It's cold, it's dry, the wind is kicking up. You know, you're trying to get in your car with your stuff, and the wind is like flapping your hair in your face, and it's blowing the door shut on you, and you're trying to get you know, and it's cold, and you've not put the right number of layers on, and you're getting all frazzled, right? We call it being Vata deranged or Vata disturbed. Yeah, like, what is all of this? Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
that's
totally.
that's Vata in a season. Yeah. Pitta is fire, mostly fire and water. But when you think water, because then well, water puts out fire, think oil, right? And if you combine oil with fire, you get more fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pitta is hot. It's fiery. Pitta type people are really focused. I think fire is colorful, right? So like visionary, driven, you know, control freaks. Yeah, on a schedule, perfectionist. You know, average proportions, symmetrical. Everything is, you know, just as it should be. So Pitta type season, then the peak of Pitta is in the summer. Yeah, hot, fiery. Except with summer we get that expansiveness that maybe gets a little bit out of control. The Pittas don't necessarily like. And then what do? You get prickly heat and bloating and everything that gets a bit hot and agitated, and because it hasn't got that structure to it that Pittas really like. Kapha is earth and water. So think clay, right? Think pottery. It's structural, it's solid, it's substantial. You can mold it into different forms, but depending on how clayey it is, and anybody with clay soil knows this very intimately, as we do where I live, you know, it can take a lot of work to get it into a particular shape. And once it's in that particular shape, it's not moving. It's there. It's stuck. So Kapha is cold and wet. It's steadfast in the positive manifestation. It's stubborn and stuck in its ways in the negative manifestation. So that can be, you know, your kind of earth mother, you know, caring for everybody, nourishing everybody. But it can also be the couch potato or the grumpy, stubborn, like, well, this is the way we're going to do things because this is the way it's always done. I know some perfect caricatures of Kapha type people who will say things like, why would you ever go to a professional to see, you know, if there's anything wrong with your health? They're going to find something. So why would you do that? Or, well, of course I'm going to do that way because that's the way I do it and the way the generation before did and the generation before. Why would it change? Yeah, this is like the stereotype of the farmer in their field. Yeah, it's chucking down rain, it's freezing, it's miserable out, but they've got up at 4 a.m. because they get up at 4 a.m. every morning. And they're stood out in the field and they're making sure all the sheep are okay. And they're completely not bothered that it's freezing and they're soaked. And they will do the same thing. And they'll have the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner their entire lives. And they'll do the same thing every day for their entire lives. And they're fine because they're happy. So they don't notice as keenly when maybe something is brewing, when an imbalance is brewing. So by the time a Kapha person notices, it's usually pretty evolved. Whereas a Vata person's like, ouch, ow, that hurts straight away. But then they probably get a bit distracted and don't do anything about it. Whereas Pitta's like, I have noticed something. It is uncomfortable. What have I done wrong to deserve this? And I must fix it now. Tell me what to do. I will take exactly 5 meals 3 times a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I will fix this. And I'm going to be a good patient. Yeah. So those are the doshas in a nutshell. And then I guess Kapha from a broad brushstroke season perspective, cold and wet and slow, that's winter. Yeah. Snow, cold and wet, taking up space. We're chilling. We're like slowing down. We're feasting, or we're couch potatoing, or we're wintering, you know. So that's Kapha. I don't have to go anywhere. I'll just sit here. Great.
And the way you're describing the doshas to me reminds me a lot of the modes in astrology. where
Ooh.
we have the
Hmm.
the cardinal
Mm-hmm.
fixed and lunar.
Yes.
And
Or
so
mutable.
the cardinal, yeah, so cardinal is the start of the season, and
Yeah.
fixed is the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Cool is when it's changing, and it's like more,
Yes.
yeah. But I would actually, I guess the dual would be more the the Pitta, and I would think the cardinal is more the Vata, and then the fixed
Yes.
is the Kapha. That's just what I'm thinking right now. But
Yeah. 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 No, that makes sense. Yeah.
When you look at a person, are there certain like physical cues that can tell you if they're Vata, Pitta, or Kapha dominant? And are you
Yes.
people one or the other?
Ayurvedic people watching is brilliant.
Mhm.
And then you learn tongue diagnosis, and then you become that awkward person at a party, depending on what group you're in, going, "Can you stick out your tongue?" And I'll
Yeah.
yeah, so we've all got, all of nature is comprised of all three of these doshas. Yeah, all the time. And we are also nature. So we've got all three of them in us. Some people have one that's really predominant. Some people have kind of a lead actress and a main supporting actress,
Mhm.
It's not as common to have tridoshic where it's sort of all three in equal proportion in somebody. Um, but yes, so a Vata type person, look wise, if they're predominantly Vata, would be either, quite petite or maybe quite tall, but usually quite slender. So you can tell by like little skinny wrists.
Yeah.
They might have everything is kind of fine and thin with them. So thin hair, pale, often pale, like blue eyes. They might have, one ear's a bit higher than the other, or one eye's a bit higher than the other, or Vata rules the bones. The thing about the teeth, they might have crooked teeth or
Mm.
gaps in the teeth.
Mm.
Um, Somebody who is, and they'll have dry skin often, or
like an
tendency to dry
ectomorph,
skin.
like an ectomorph type, a bodybuilder.
I'm trying to remember what that is. I think
It's
yes.
the long and lean one. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah, like that. Yeah. And then Pitta type, again, Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
Mhm.
Average size, symmetrical, evenly proportioned. Usually blue or green eyes because Pitta brings with it a lot of color.
Mm.
So they'll have more of a likelihood to have brown hair
Mhm.
because that's a bit more colorful, apparently, than blonde hair.
Mhm.
Um, they, yeah, quite, symmetrical features, an evenness and a moderateness to their size and shape and build. Kapha think we've got, the earth and the water. So Kapha is more likely to be taller, broader, sturdier, full lips, a broader nose, big eyes. These, this is like the Aphrodite on a half shell hair. Yeah, like the thick,
Yeah.
luscious, long hair, for girls and guys.
Mhm.
Or the if you see elders who have still got this gorgeous lot, it might be kind of salt and pepper or even white, but they've still got that luscious loads of hair. There's
Mm.
lots of yummy kapha juiciness in there. Yeah, curvy, full,
Mhm.
full, just like solid. Yeah, and
Yeah.
having it both a presence and a real grounding.
Mhm.
That's more of a kind of classic, predominantly kapha look.
Mhm. Very cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
that's beautiful.
which one are you? Huh?
500% pitta
I
with a
know.
sprinkle with a
I know you
sprinkle
are.
of vata. Oh yes, and from an astrological perspective, very Leo with pretty much everything in my chart in a fire sign. So I remember the basic astrology course I did, and we sort of went around the classroom. We looked at my chart, and everybody went, "Whoa,"
Really?
A lot of fire.
and I was like, yeah, that's kind of, there's something about the looking at everybody's charts when you know what you're looking at that you can't hide. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's me. So
It's
I mean,
a,
I'm in colorful. I'm in all red today. Yeah,
yeah.
fire. Usually I'm in
I
orange
noticed
color.
your favorite colors are very autumnal, like the orange, red, fire colors, you know?
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
surprised that your Pitta and your favorite season is fall.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're a little more Kapha Pitta,
Yeah.
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
Kapha.
Cozy.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it. Did 200 episodes. Just keep going at it. Just
Yep.
we're just gonna keep going. Who cares? I don't care. Just keep going.
And the stamina, but also that aspect of, and we're going to do it well. We
Yeah.
Yes.
care.
Yeah.
It's going to
Yes.
be great. And
Hmm.
we're going to keep doing it. We've got the stamina. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right. You got to have a little bit of fire to get going at all to start something
Yeah,
new.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yeah.
Hmm.
But we do like to our cozy bed laying
Hmm.
laying
Yeah.
long as we possibly can as well, which I
Yeah.
think is
Not a lot of Vata here.
not too much Vata. But then
Yeah.
there's the thing where you have your general dosha or your general t type, but then different body systems may have different doshas
Yeah.
as well. Like whereas like my digestive system may be a little bit more Vata, whereas my mind might be a little bit more Vata, but my like overall system is
Sounds
more
like there's
Kapha.
some Vata derangement in there, perhaps.
Just a little bit.
Or
Uh,
Vata disturbance, Vata imbalance, but it's a bit more fun to say Vata deranged, isn't it?
I know it
I
is.
like it's a fun word. Yeah.
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 As long
Yeah.
as it's not too deranged.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah. So how and the other thing is, as I've been learning from the Vedic astrology perspective and like dosha, like we think of it often in terms of your constitution,
Mm.
but it's also dosha is like literally in Sanskrit it's flaw. It's like a flaw. It's like what's off.
Mm.
So like the kapha, the problem, like if the kapha dosha predominates, then you have the potential to get off balance by being too slow. Whereas like if
Yes.
the dosha is too much, then you have the possibility of getting by
Too
being
hype.
too fire, too much heat.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah. And the kaphas will tend to, the main site of kapha in the top of the digestion in the chest, kaphas will have a tendency to get phlegmy and those kind of
Yeah.
chesty, phlegmy, mucousy things. Pitta, the seat of pitta is in the gut. So pittas will tend to get those inflammatory, reactive gut imbalances, or often their gut going off will be the first sign for them, oh, something's off. Seat of Vata is the lower pelvis, the lower cauldron. So one of the early signs for them is bowel movements going off or urination going off, menstrual cycles going off.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Mm.
And it's interesting too that we were looking at the three cauldrons there, which is
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
more
I
of a
like to sprinkle a bit, you know.
yeah. Um, but do you want to talk a little bit more about how like our different body systems, or like even like your liver, or like how do you tell where what a different when a different body system is off balance, or like what its constitution is, or yeah.
Yeah, so each of the like the organs and the systems, they have their different associations with which dosha rules them or is in charge of them. So, for example, Kapha has a lot to do with the lungs. Kapha's also got a lot to do with the mucous membranes in the body. Pitta rules the blood, the hormones. Vata, you think about movement, so messages moving through the body, the nervous system. Yeah, so that's another reason why
Right.
many people in Western societies these days are Vata deranged because everybody's nervous system is dysregulated because there's just
Yeah.
constant bombardment of technical term crap flying
Yeah.
at us all the time, right? Which then throws off your bowel movements. So, yeah, everybody needs a good poo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
also it's hard to get the required number of recommended fiber allotment in there.
But
Uh,
just the time and the space.
yeah,
I mean, we're digressing a bit, but it's important, right? The time and the space to sit down and have a bowel movement. How many people are not allowed with their daily schedules, whether they've got to do
Oh.
the school run or going to work or whatever it is?
When you miss
The
that peristaltic wave, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
For hours.
As I say to my students, right? The train enters the station. The train is ready to leave the station. Okay. So you need to be able to get there to let the train leave the station. If you miss it, like you said, you've missed it. And then what? You're cranky all day. Why? Because you're Vata deranged.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then
that
you
and
get,
as if that keeps happening as a pattern, then
yeah.
there are like all sorts of other problems that can crop up.
Yes, because then you've got that movement that's trapped in the body that wants to go smoothly down and out. The movement's not going down, so it starts going up. If you got excess vata with the air in it, particularly, fanning in the body, the flames, you sat in front of a fire and you're fanning and you're fanning and you're fanning, right? The flames are going to get higher. So then we're going to get up into the seat of Pitta and we're going to start getting inflammation and reactivity and bloating and all of this. And if that keeps happening, fanning the flames, then trapped behind those flames is going to be stuff that's, really wanting to get out of the body and can't. So accumulation, kapha, happening in the body. Then you've got all three doshas out of balance and you've got a problem.
Right.
Right.
And that's, I mean, and that's important too. Like you can have all three doshas out of balance. It's not you're one dosha and that's who you are, and that's the only thing that you are.
And the more doshas that are out of balance, the further down the path of disease toward, the 6 stages of disease, the further down the path you are. So therefore, the longer the journey back is to balance, number 1. Number 2, the more complicated it might be. Number 3, by the time you've reached that stage, there might have been some structural damage that's happened.
Right.
So think of that as like roadworks. The roadworks team come in and they've not repaved and laid a nice smooth road for you to drive back on. They've actually changed the whole road layout. So now you've got to take a different route to get back to maybe your original starting point, or more probably like a parallel point.
Right.
But it'll be a different path and it won't necessarily be the same if structural damage has happened in that process. If it's gone on for a really long time, because you've either been silencing it with pharmaceuticals or not listening to your intuition or just not feeling it or being too busy and brushing it off, and then eventually pretty intense imbalance that's harder to work your way back from. So moral of the story is have your bowel movement.
Yes.
I like this conversation. We're definitely not shying away from
Yeah.
No.
the shit.
Well, we've just wrapped up the section on exits and what we need to release for my year 2 students. So maybe I'm in that mindset.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, this seems like a good time of the year for releasing.
Yes.
We're getting into Scorpio season here in a little while, in a couple weeks. And well, so talking about the seasons, thinking about the seasons, how is that relating to the doshas for you? What's that interplay?
Yes. So the doshas cycle through the seasons across the year. So we've got the aspect where you've got Vata will start accumulating, for example, towards the end of the summer. And then it overflows in the autumn, which we can start, that example I gave earlier, oh, the wind is whipping you around, it's getting cold. Yeah. Then once Vata is peaking, behind the scenes, Kapha is starting to accumulate, and then comes and overflows, and we really notice it and we feel it in the winter. And then the snows melt, the phlegm releases, early spring, yeah. Pitta, so depending where in the world you are, depends how soon you start actually feeling that there's actually some pitta, thank goodness, finally accumulating. Where I am, I'm like, it's still cold. It's still cold.
Yeah.
And it's still cold. No, still cold.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up again? You grew up
Florida.
in Florida.
Oh.
Florida, and I live in northern England, so yeah, I'm always like, it's not warm enough here. Keep
Yeah.
adding ginger to stuff anyway.
It'll never be as warm as it is during the winter in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joke and I say, it's peak summer and the Brits, the native Brits here are like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, really? This is Christmas weather.
Yeah.
That being said, I think if I went back to Florida now, I would probably melt into a massive puddle or burst into flames on arrival. So I don't think I can handle it now. But yeah, in spring, Pitta starts accumulating that energy, that fire starts coming through, and then peaks and overflows as we come into the summer. So that's the kind of basic cycle of things, Vata, Kapha, Pitta, Vata, Kapha, Pitta, and around the wheel we go. But because I am quite interested in the wheel of the year, which I got interested in not from necessarily any particular kind of, faith practice, so to speak. But, well, probably because gateway via the gate of woo, which I do love a good, healthy amount of woo. Yeah. Got interested through that, but wasn't wanting to do the kind of, particular rituals or anything like that. But living in Yorkshire, living in a rural farming village and having, or I should probably more authentically say, attempting a small holding, with his will and desire, and seasons of life change. And sometimes we are smallholders and sometimes we have eggs from our chickens and that's it. But and they're very spoiled chickens. But anyway, the seasons become very, very visceral and very real and very tangible. So you really notice the feel of the change in the air, the smell on the breeze. You also notice when tractors are going vroom, 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 vroom up and down the village because they're busy doing something. Yeah. Making hay while the sun shines, quite literally. Or they're sowing seeds or they're doing whatever. So as I was looking at this wheel of the year from the land-based perspective of it, which aligns really well with the sort of agricultural year, and then thinking about the shifting of the doshas across the seasons, I realized, because Ayurveda is phenomenal and it's thousands of years of wisdom. So, as we would say where I'm from, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not saying it's broken. I'm not saying we need to fix it, but it comes from the Indian subcontinent, yeah?
Right, yeah.
I'm in northern England. We didn't have monsoon season. We certainly don't get the levels of Pitta heat that they've got in the Indian subcontinent. But what we do have with this sort of 8-season wheel of the year is a changing of seasons, which we didn't have in Florida growing up. We just had hot, 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 little cool. Hot. So seeing this change of the seasons and tuning into that, and I realized that was actually a really nice overlay to localize our understanding of the dynamics of the shifting of the doshas across the year in a bit more of what's actually happening with the weather and the rest of nature, where those of us who have 4 seasons, live. Or if you don't have those 4 seasons, that you could still take that concept and apply it. I sort of think of that kind of, I can't think of the name of it, but that school craft kind of thing where it sort of looks like a push pin, but it's got 2 prongs and it opens up so then you can make things that spin.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of that either. Like a little...
Yeah, those things, right? Right. We know what I'm talking about. Anybody has the name, let us know, right? There's a teacher
in the comments. What's the name?
But I think, what is the name of that thing? But if you had, and if you were doing a proper school type craft, you'd have a paper plate. You'd have 2 paper plates. One is a big one and one is a small one. You put this push pin through it, and one of the plates would have these 3 doshas shifting and cycling. And the other plate would have your 8 seasons of the wheel. And then you just twist and adjust a bit,
Cool.
which also means you can flex a bit based on, what the heck is happening with global weather patterns this year, type of
Yes.
thing.
Totally. Yeah, that's really cool. Are you gonna have your students do that for craft time?
I should. I've done a watercolor painting for them.
Oh, okay, nice.
But maybe
That's
I should
awesome.
make them do the craft. If I gave homework assignments, then doing that would be part of
Yes.
the homework assignment. But then
Yeah,
I'd also have to find out the name of this push pin thing so
I
they
know,
could go get
right?
it.
All right. Well, we'll wait till somebody comments and then we'll let you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, I have it in my mind too. I have no idea what the name is.
No.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
so
cool though.
yeah,
It's a great concept of being able to apply it locally,
Mm.
and flexibly.
Yes. Yeah. Because you might, the paper plate that's got the doshas on it,
Mhm.
where you live, you might need to have a longer stretch of that paper plate be kapha
yeah,
time. Or, if you're in Florida, kind of most of that is pitta time.
right.
Or a longer bit of it that's vata time. So you might need to flex it a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think the point that I'm making is there's a bit of flex and there's a bit of shift.
Yeah,
Mm.
Because either way, the important thing is that you are tuned in and connecting with your local environment. What's happening outside you is also what's happening within you, because we are in nature, so that you can align what you're doing, your activities, your flow of daily life, what you're eating, of course, what herbs you're working with, yeah, so
Yeah.
that you are more supported and there's more flow and less friction within the season you're in, and that you're also keeping an eye to what's coming next, so that as that next dosha is accumulating, you're not accumulating that, so that when you get to that season, it's overflow rather than flow. Because overflow is the grounds for imbalance and dis-ease and all those kinds of things. Whereas flow is, I am in, if we're talking about autumn, pumpkin spice bliss, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, it's cold season, oh, it's back to school season, oh, coughs, colds, flus, all of that.
Hmm.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah, and it really does change from place to place too. The seasons because like here are well most of the time, or it used to be the case that our winters are more cold and dry because
Mm-hmm.
it's below freezing as a high,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't even get wet enough, because to be. But then it's becoming more wet if it doesn't get below freezing,
Hmm.
as a high.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes. It changes year to year too, here at least. But they used to be always cold and dry. But then also, so looking at the at how the dosha affects your personal, like the dosha of the season affects your personal dosha. So
Mm-hmm.
can you give us an example of how to work with that? So for instance, we're in fall now.
Mm.
What are some things that a kapha person might want to be doing in fall to get ready
Mm.
for the change of that.
Mm. Yeah, so we've got our core constitution, and think of that as your kind of your center, your grounded, your imbalance. And then you've got what you are right now, because life is always lifing at you, you know. So
Hmm.
why we said the seasons or various life things. So the aim or the concept is to balance things as much so that you can be your maximum you-ness in balance and grounded, rather than all of the imbalance predominating so that disease is happening. So coming into Vata season, coming into autumn, Vata is cold and dry and constricted. A Kapha type person is cold, so two colds, so that's extra cold, wet, so giving some balance to the dryness coming in the season. However, if we would normally be balancing that dry with wet so that we don't get too dried out, so we've got enough healthy mucus to be catching the microbes flying around and then, pushing them out, the Kapha body might get a bit enthusiastic about that and go, ooh, I shall make more mucus, right? And how long is a piece of string, or how much mucus do we really need, And then constricted Vata season, but Kapha is chill. Yeah, relaxed. It's all right. It's just autumn. This happens every year. Why would I do anything differently? So, what will we look for to help somebody, a Kapha type person, for example, balance in Vata season? If there's cold outside and there's already cold inside, we're going to have double cold. Yeah. So amp up on the warming herbs and spices, and this can just be the culinary stuff. Yeah. The stuff that you feel like eating now anyway.
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. As the season progresses through to winter, your mulled wine spices, right? Which you don't have to have in wine. You could have that in apple juice. You can have that in orange juice, which I particularly like. You could just have it as a tea. Yeah. So it doesn't.
Bang and reishi chai, kind of like mulled wine kind of thing. Reishi decoction. It's great for this time.
Ginger, reishi, thorn, and like all the chai spices.
Nice.
It just all winter, like fall and winter on the wood stove.
Yeah. Oh, I need that recipe, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pumping up the warming culinary herbs and spices in the food. You don't have to be doing things tincture and all this. We're talking about flowing with the seasons, right? So the base level, primary fundamental herbalism of kitchen herbalism, food. Yeah. You can do things like making sure that if you are a person who likes your smoothies and you like your salads, there was some comedy sketch, I think, from, I don't know, the 90s or the noughties, something like that, where somebody goes to somebody and says they have a problem or whatever, and the person in response goes, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Yeah. So smoothies this time of year, stop it. Yeah. How can you think of a warm, don't take your green juice smoothie and warm it up, literally, but what would be a warm swap for a smoothie? A nice warm milky drink.
Yes.
Or
butternut squash soup.
Yes. Butternut squash soup. Exactly. You can, if you haven't tried it before, you can have soup for breakfast. It's great. There are lots of countries and cultures and all kinds of people who have soup for breakfast. Yeah. So I'll have what she's having. Yeah. Soup for breakfast. You could do your warm milky drinks, especially on an evening, is really nice. You turmeric lattes, have your like nutmeg and cinnamon and cardamom, and depending on what your body needs, maybe a bit of ashwagandha or shatavari or something like that, with like a sprinkle of rose something, a bit like rose infused honey. Yeah. For evening. So keeping things warm. You want to keep things moist, but a Kapha person's probably already moist, so not too moist. If anybody can have a little bit of the dryness in, or a bit more of the heat that will burn up some of that extra moisture, that's the Kaphas. So fire cider, fab for Kaphas. Yeah. Pitta types have got enough fire. You've got two types of pittas. Pittas who are like, instead of drug, sex, and rock and roll, they're going caffeine, chilies, and chocolate. Yeah. Yes. Give me the fire. And they're like, I will have my fire cider every day, and then I will have perfect health. Yes. They probably don't need it. Unless you really love it and it really works for you. Obviously, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But then you've got some pittas who there's already so much heat in them, it's too much. And they can't take the spice. So I would say for a Pitta type person, go more for the elderberry syrup.
Right.
Than the fire cider. And side note, elderberry syrup, you don't have to mix it with loads of sugar or loads of honey. Make your elderberry decoction, which
Mm-hmm.
you'd be doing anyway to make the syrup.
Mm-hmm.
Strain it off, and instead of then adding your honey or your sugar, freeze it as ice cubes, which is not an
Oh,
Ayurvedic recommendation because they don't like
oh,
frozen things, but we
Saturn.
live, yeah, but we live in, the year we live in, and we've got freezers.
we can't
So,
Yeah.
do
yeah, so do it as ice cubes. I do this with bone broth as well. Freeze it
yeah.
as ice cubes, and then pop it in your mug in the morning, heat up your
Mm.
kettle, pour your hot water over it to melt it, and then it also won't be too hot because you've had the ice cube in. And
Oh.
then add your scoop of honey in.
Nice.
Because then
That's
you've not
clever.
got like crazy sugar syrup that you
Yeah.
can't get out of the bottle. Credit to that completely goes to my wonderful year 3 student, Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Nice.
It's amazing. So
Don't you
I'm
love
telling
it?
everybody.
Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
have another recipe I want to share for the Pitta types that fire cider is too harsh.
Mm.
My friend Kate Miller, thank you,
Mm.
Kate. She makes something called the Witch's Brew, and it's a fire cider reminiscent type recipe, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of the cute spicy herbs, it's a little bit more like sort of stress relieving nervine adaptogen herbs. So it has
Ooh.
ashwagandha, cinnamon, cacao, dandelion root, burdock root, reishi. So she's making this like decoction of it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's a really tasty fall remedy to stay healthy. That's not like as much of the bite of fire cider. So,
Ooh.
yeah,
Is
once I
that
get
in
farm
vinegar or in water?
in vinegar. Yeah, like
Wow.
preserved in vinegar. So,
Ooh, I need to try
yeah.
that.
Yeah, the witch's
Nice.
brew from Weathertop Farm.
Yeah, because the vinegar aspect of it does bring in that heat. So the benefit of that is helping the digestive fire, the agni, stay
Right.
stoked, which you definitely want to do
Yeah.
Hmm.
as it's getting colder out. Because
Hmm.
we need that extra. That's why we're lighting fires and, fireplaces and wood burners. We've got to keep our inner fire burning. And
Mm.
the energy is now shifting to focusing on keeping the inner fire burning so that you're warm, the food that you're taking in, which is getting heavier because the nutrients are locked into it, is able to be cooked in your tummy so that
Right.
you can absorb the goodness from it and then release, the natural waste products of it.
Mm.
If you're all cold inside, if you take a big hearty stew or the raw ingredients of a big hearty stew, yeah, and just like plopped it on a plate, that's not going to digest. And
Yeah.
somebody's probably going to say, "Ew." You got to cook it, so it's got to be able to cook then in your gut, so you
Mm-hmm.
can get the goodness out of it. So, Kapha person, Vata time of year, we said cold, we've said dry. They can probably benefit from a little bit of that astringency as well, just a little bit of the tightness because the
Mm-hmm.
relaxation is coming and they're already relaxed. So if they get too chill, they'll just like melt into, they'll become one with the couch and the
Right.
duvet and the cozy blanket. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but then you've got to at some point like reemerge from that. And if you've lost all of your molecules into the couch molecules, then
Yes.
you're gone, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you need a little dryingness.
Yeah.
Little bit of dry, yeah, and keep things moving at a regular pace so that we don't totally slow down. Because if a Kapha type person slows down already in Vata time, then by the time they get to winter, Kapha season, they're going to slow down even more. And
Right.
so what you're doing is you've got excess, and you're carrying that excess from one season to the next.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
imagine you are a basket, right? Herbalist goals. I have become a basket. Yes, I have won at life. You're a basket. And each season something is getting, that basket's getting filled up. But you want to use up what's in there. That's the characteristic of the season.
Mm.
Use it up. Because if you don't use it up, then the next season, I'm mixing analogies. My students know me well with this, but stick with me. It'll make sense.
Mhm.
So you've got this one basket full of stuff. But then you come into another season, now you've got another basket that's starting to get full of something else because you carried forward the basket of apples from autumn
Mm.
into now the basket of snow. Not
Mm-hmm.
totally working, but you get
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Or the basket of blankets
Yeah.
There we go. Basket of blankets, yeah, which is cumbersome, right? So you've carried one basket forward. Now you've got another basket. It's starting to get a bit unwieldy. By the time you get to spring, then somebody's like, oh, here's a basket of baby chicks bouncing all over the place. And you're like, just, falling over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've been carrying through from one season to the next. So you want to be in the moment. Use it, take it in, let it go, take it in, let it go, because the more you carry forward, the longer you carry it forward, technical terms, the more it's going to kick your butt when it comes back around full circle to that same point in the year next year.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't want that.
Right. And then for the Vatas, for Vata season, what do you recommend?
Well, Vata for Vata season, okay? Both cold, both dry, both restricted. The balance to Vata is bringing in a lot of those Kapha elements because it's grounding, it's moistening, it's nourishing. And then we need to keep some of the fire in for the warmth. Yeah.
Eggnog.
Eggnog, yes. Homemade organic eggnog.
Yeah.
This is your with maybe some like ashwagandha in it or something.
Yeah.
Right? So then then it's medicinal, then it's herbal, then it's healthy, then it's okay.
Cinnamon.
Right?
Nutmeg.
Cinnamon, nutmeg. It's that, in moderation. The thing
Yes.
is, a Vata person's hardly going to remember to make that to begin with, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I made some eggnog. Oh, hooray. So bringing in those elements, but don't overload it. In moderation. Keep it so that you're balancing, so that you feel balanced. Body oiling. Oh, my favorite thing from Ayurveda is full body oil massage.
Yeah.
And you're kind of meant to do it in a very warm environment, and you do 20 minutes of massage, and then you go slough it off with a herbal powder and all of this. Okay, I live in a cold place. I don't have a warm place to sit and massage, and I've got a nearly 5-year-old. I don't have a warm place for 20 minutes by myself to massage myself with oil. No. So what I've done for years is post shower, when you're nice and warm and your pores are open, do a full body oiling. That can take like 5 minutes, but think of it as your post shower moisturizing routine, but with your herb infused oils. If you do that every day, this is not text, this is my experience, it has a cumulative effect. So it will ultimately seep down through all 7 tissue layers, and you'll feel saturated. You'll feel protected. You'll feel grounded. You'll feel nourished. Even if you can full body is the optimal. And that includes stick it in your ears. You don't have to do the full like nausea snort thing, but I just coat the insides of my nostrils. Do that bit last, obviously. But if you don't do everything, at least just to your feet or something.
Right.
And then put some nice warm socks on because it's really grounding. Keeps the nervous system grounded, keeps you nourished, keeps you, imagine if you're a microbe and you fly up against some person who's nicely oiled and you're going to be like, whoosh, sliding off.
You're right.
Right. Yeah, and those Vata people, like they're just too dry. You got to have that lubrication in there to keep well oiled.
Right.
Exactly. I would say, go ahead.
I was going to say our energetic field is also affected by putting herb infused oils on us. Like I experimented once with a juniper berry and yarrow infused oil, and it came out smelling like blueberries. Like it was just so yummy. And I put that on every day when I was visiting, and I was in Thailand, and I felt like it was putting out this like aura of like this bubble of protection around me. Maybe it was the yarrow, but also the juniper, but
Juniper is very protective.
yeah. So I was like, I felt like I was almost like invincible in a way,
Yes.
and I didn't get sick the whole time I was there. So
yes. Yeah. And our, because we've got lots of microbiomes, but including the one that wraps around us, which, depending on how you want to look at it, when people read auras and see the colors of somebody's aura and they think, oh, it's like a gungy, dark, kind of doesn't look particularly healthy aura, or like, oh, I don't really want to be near that person. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's because the microbiome bubble around them is full of unfriendly microbes. I think of it like, Snoopy and Peanuts, and what's that character with like the dust cloud around him?
Oh yeah.
That guy, yeah.
The
That
guy. Yeah, that guy.
that kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that,
You that play.
that
Yeah.
sort of that dust cloud around him, as that aura that would be read as like, oh, maybe that's a not a great color kind of thing. But unfriendly microbes want more unfriendly microbes. So they're like, oh, hey, influenza virus, come
Mm.
hang out with me, versus if you've got a lovely radiant aura, but that also expands, a certain amount away from you. So you've got boundaries, and you've got boundaries of positivity
Yeah.
encircling you. So then your microbes see an influenza microbe and they're like, no thanks.
Yes, you're right.
With love, you're not
Yes.
coming in. And
Yeah.
also I'm covered in oil, so you're gonna slide off me anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that Ojas idea from
Yeah.
it's like
Mm.
and that's it's juiciness too. It's like the health is juiciness is and when you're covered in oil, you're glistening with
Yes. Yeah. Kaphas don't necessarily need to oil.
right.
I mean, if they want to oil, then keep it to the warming herbs, because that will be helping to encourage movement in the body and the warmth that they need.
Mm.
But Vatas really need to oil. Pittas can benefit a lot from oiling, but don't oil in the height of summer because you'll get burnt,
Mm.
Right.
quite practically speaking. And
Yeah.
Pitta's at its peak, which
Yeah.
has the oil in it. So there's already a lot of that out there, so you don't need more of it. So summer is your kind of oiling break. And then where I am, 1st of September, oiling season begins again until
Yeah.
where I am mid-July, and you have maybe a
Yeah.
6-week break.
Mid-July to end of July.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
know.
like that here sometimes too. Like this year it was like that. It
Yeah.
was like we barely got summer.
Yeah.
But we did. Then it was like too much
For those few weeks.
for those
Yeah.
few weeks.
It
It's
was
like, oh,
summer.
okay, that's too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's also it's important to like the different techniques are better for different body types and vata like doshas. So like oiling is especially useful for the vata because they're drier. And it's not as helpful for the kapha because their kapha's already a little oily.
Yeah. They're already
Um,
moist and glistening with a sweet smelling sweat.
what kind of sweet?
Yeah.
Well, because pittas are the ones who get the like pungent sweat that leaves the colorful stains on things.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely am like part pitta.
Yeah.
I'm kapha pitta. It's good.
Yeah.
Kapha.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends. Also, with the Vedic astrology, it kind of changes throughout your life too. Like you can see like different planetary periods are being active.
Mm.
Like I've just started a Saturn period, so it's going to be a little bit more Vata for me
Ooh,
for a
yes.
while. Whereas I've just come from a Jupiter where it's a little more Kapha.
Mm-hmm.
But well, so gotta adjust.
You'll be all right.
Yeah. So what are some of those other techniques that are better for different doshas? For instance, like fasting might not be good for a Vata because they're already too skinny, But like really
Yeah.
maybe.
Fasting is an interesting one. I think fasting is nice to think of again from a seasonal perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you don't want it to be cold when you're fasting because the body is trying to hang on to resources. And rather than fasting, I like to kind of think of it as a reset.
Mm.
Yeah. So spring and autumn are nice times to do that, but before it gets cold, and with
Yeah.
spring, it's gotta have actually tangibly warmed up a little bit first.
Right.
And I mean, I'm quite interested in the Ayurvedic version of it, which would do like khichdi or kachari, different ways of pronouncing it, but effectively working with really simple, really well cooked, so think kind of pre-digested almost foods, so that the body doesn't have to do a lot of effort in digesting. It's getting what it needs to work through things, but that it can kind of rest and reset. And then you can flex which culinary herbs and spices you're weaving into that to support whatever's going on for you, and also just to keep it from getting completely boring.
Yeah.
So that's a nice one, and those are nice times to do it. Height of summer, no. Depth of winter, no. 1st of January, don't even think about it. Right? Wait till it warms up a bit. Even, when the cleavers start coming out and people start
Yeah.
getting excited, woo, and you see the little tiny baby shoots, it's still too early. You need proper cleavers. And
Hmm.
depending on where you are, if it's still cold, I always say keep in a slice of fresh ginger, fresh because it's not as heating or drying as dried powdered,
Hmm.
and or a twist of lemon, because you've
Mm.
got to keep some aspect of warmth in there, because if you're in a place where it's still cold, yeah, you are allowed, it's okay to, make sure that you're clearing out the leftover Kapha from winter. If there are any overindulgences, even if it's your like perfect healthy herbal eggnog, you may have had one too many.
Yeah, it happens.
You don't want to carry that eggnog around with you all year. Um, but you might need to balance it with a little bit of warmth in, depending on how the season is locally for you.
Hmm.
Also reminds me of what you were saying about if you move back to Florida, you might have trouble acclimating. And so this,
Yeah.
like the place that you're in really makes a difference with what you're seasonally eating. And like if you continue to eat coconuts and mangoes and pineapples and avocados every day in England,
In the
Mm.
because we're used to
Yeah.
that in Florida, you're not going to have as good of health probably than if you
Yeah. Well,
decided
and
to.
also the quality of that stuff by the time it gets here is like
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
grim
totally.
anyway.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
also like bone broth can be a very you instead of like kitchery, which is maybe better in India. Like if you're in a northern climate in the fall and you want to do some fasting bone broth, herbal bone broth, you can add
Yeah.
reishi to it, you can add stuff to it. That might be a good way to fast without going too far.
To repair and reset. Yeah,
Yeah.
because bone broth's got so many healing aspects. I mean, there books and books and books that have been written on all the
Yeah.
brilliant healing aspects of bone broth. I like to do mine with, I call it kind of like a triple threat. So obviously you've got your herbs in it, but I do the bones and a bit of dried homegrown shiitake
Mhm.
mushroom,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and then a pinch of a couple different seaweeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, bones, mushrooms, seaweeds.
Yes.
Yes.
Invincible now.
Everything is in there.
Amazing.
Everything is in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds so good. We're entering soup season. I'm getting really excited
Yeah.
about
Mm-hmm.
soup every day.
Soup every day.
Yeah.
Well, this has
Yeah.
been a great conversation. I've enjoyed it a lot. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the listeners before we wrap up?
Sure. I mean, number one, if you're listening when it's in season and we're going into the cold time of year, make sure your food is cooked and warm. Stop
Hmm.
with the smoothies. If you are a salad addict, make sure it's like a warm cooked, with nourishing grounding grains and your squashes and whatever you want to put in it thing, but no more iceberg lettuce now. Sorry,
Yeah.
stop. Um, and yeah, I guess maybe just share a little bit about the course that I offer for anybody who happens to be on my side of the pond.
Mhm.
It's called Awaken Herbal Wisdom, and it's up to 3 years. So you don't have to do all 3 years, but it's up to 3 years of deep dives into herbalism, and we do a blend of meeting in person and online. So we get a really really nice tight group, a nice community feel going. We do 12 new herbs, mostly local, sprinkled with a couple Ayurvedic ones each
Mhm.
year. And the first year, we really come in through the gateway of taste and breaking down those barriers about, societal messaging of primary imbalances like fever and coughs and colds in the body that we have been taught to fear and not trust ourselves about. And we
Yeah.
tear down that facade and burn it on a fiery flame and throw some herbs and dance around it and cackle. That is our vibe
Nice.
here. That is what we do. And then year two, we tune in a lot more to the seasons. We link up the doshas with, we go into a lot of detail over the course of the year, over the 8 seasons in particular, focusing on that aspect and pathways through the body. And then the third year is the spiral of life. So we do a good chunk of time on each of the 6 stages of life. What are the key imbalances that come? What are the key ways to support? Which is a really, really nice journey across the 3 years. And we have a lot of fun. We drink a lot of tea, and we make some stuff, and we ask all kinds of questions. And there are lots of aha moments, which are my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just sharing of resources and sharing of rides and sharing of accommodation and sharing of book recommendations and I harvested some extra whatever, who wants some,
Nice.
So we have loads and loads of fun, and you can find all the details of that, and the links will be in the show notes, but on the website for our school, so heritageschoolofherbalmedicine.com.
Yes, awesome. Sounds like a wonderful program.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and analogies and stories. And it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Megan. So thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.